Chairs No Waiting, episode number 409, the eBullet, January 2017. Two Chairs No Waiting is brought to you each week by the fine folks over at weaversdepartmentstore.com. Drop by Weavers and get the great book by Scott Hopkins, Mayberry Trivia. 1,500 trivia questions for you, all about the Andy Griffith Show. Go and check it out. And you also might want to get some Mayberry postmarks. These are 10 different note cards with envelopes, so you can mail a note to your friends that all have Mayberry type images on them, from the courthouse. It's like all kinds of stuff at weaversdepartmentstore.com. Two Chairs No Waiting is also brought to you by donations from listeners just like you. The executive producer of episode number 409 is Bob Mundy. Hello, Bob, and hello, Mayberry. Hello to you. Thank you for being here with me in Mayberry. And I'm Alan Newsom, your host for Two Chairs No Waiting. And it's always great to spend some time just visiting and talking about the Andy Griffith Show. Y'all have probably heard of that, I realize, since you wouldn't be here otherwise. I'm sure you would not. But we got some fun. We're going to talk about things that were in the eBullet. Now, the eBullet just came out. It's hot off the presses. Okay, well, it's really all electronic. So it's just hit the internet in the last several hours. So hopefully you've gotten one delivered directly to your mailbox, the eBullet. Now, hopefully you guys know about the eBullet. It's the electronic version of the official newsletter of the Andy Griffith Show Rerun Watchers Club. It's called the eBullet. It used to be called the Bullet when it was paper, but it's expensive to print paper and mail it and all that stuff. So since the actual Andy Griffith Show Rerun Watchers Club does not really have a fund source because we don't charge any fees to be a member, we decided it was cheaper. Wait a minute. No, let's say it different. It was more economical to do an electronic version of the Bullet and stop sending out the eBullet, or stop sending out the Bullet and send out the eBullet and send them directly to your mailboxes, and to have them online. So you can go online if you go to imayberry.com. When you go there, there's a link to the eBullet right there on the front. So you will not miss it. So go there. So this is a great newsletter. This is the first issue for 2017. Wow, can you believe it? It's 2017. Oh, now don't leave, because coming up after we talk about the eBullet stuff, we got a great new report from This Week in Mayberry History. Yeah, I don't have a theme song for it yet, but we got a great report for that coming up as well. So you want to stick around and hear that. Great things going on in Mayberry. So let's go ahead and get this started. So we're going to get us a little background music going. I always like this one. Thank you to the VW Boys at VWBoys.com for this wonderful music. The VW Boys are great Mayberry fans, huge fans of the Andy Griffith Show, and I do thank them, and thank Tim White in particular for giving me permission to use this music, because it makes it not as boring when I read. All right, so let's go into the eBullet for January 2017. This is volume 17, issue number 1, just in case you're wondering. So we're going to talk a little about Floyd's Barbershop Bulletin Board Calendar. So that's the event calendar for the Andy Griffith Show Rerun Watchers Club. Now we're not going to talk about everything, because I'm going to expect you guys to go over to either imayberry.com and click on the link there to see all these things and read them for yourself. But I just want to give you some highlights so that you'll know what's coming up. Now, we're not going to cover them all, but Betty Lynn on January the 20th, and multiple times throughout the year that you need to go and check and see when they are, she's going to be greeting fans at the Andy Griffith Museum in Mount Airy, North Carolina. The next event at this point, which is the 16th as I record this, she'll be there on the January the 20th, and then she'll be back on the 17th of February. And I'm not going to tell you all the rest of the times, but go and check them out. You can go to the event calendar at imayberry.com, and all of them will be listed off there. And all this stuff is in the eBullet, so check it out. We got Karen Knott. She's going to be all over the country. You'll need to go check the event calendar for different locations she's going to be, because she's ranging from California to Ohio. She's all over the place doing her Tied Up in Knots show, and I know you would enjoy it. Karen Knotts, daughter of Don Knotts. I know you would enjoy that. David Browning, in February the 25th and 26th, David Browning, our Mayberry deputy, he's going to be patrolling the 48th annual Road and Custom Car Show in Monticello, Iowa. That might be fun to go see. Custom cars, that'd be kind of neat to see. The George Lindsay's 20th annual George Lindsay UNA Film Festival will be held March 2nd through the 4th in Florence, Alabama. Details are to be coming, but you can go to lindsayfilmfest.com for details. The link to that is in the eBullet in the event calendar section. So go there and check it out. Again, like I was saying, there's a lot of places where David Browning's going to be as the Mayberry deputy. Betty Lynn's going to be in places. Karen Knotts is doing her show. Folks, those are things you don't want to miss. Coming up later in June, you're going to start being able to pick up some of the stuff with Neil Brower. He's going to be doing his Mayberry 101 Wedding Bells for Aunt B sessions that he does at the Andy Griffith Museum Theater down in the bottom of the museum. He'll be doing that on June 10th, so you definitely want to check that out. And he'll be back again in July. So you always want to go and check the event calendar to see what's happening in and around Mayberry related to you. Now, one thing that's not on the event calendar yet, but it is an event that you would want to be sure to kind of mark on your calendar, because I think you'd like it, is the upcoming, it's the Mayberry in the Midwest Festival that's coming up May 19th through the 21st in Danville, Indiana. So all the event details are not available at this point, but mark that on your calendar. May 19th through the 21st, be in Danville, Indiana for Mayberry in the Midwest Festival. It'll be, I think, the third or fourth one. I can't even remember. Wow, my mind is going away. That's not in the event calendar at this point, so you're getting it fresh right here on Two Chairs No Waiting, but it'll be in the event calendar soon. So be watching there at the event calendar on imayberry.com. Coming up in August, we're going to be having the Mayberry Night in Troy, North Carolina with Maggie Peterson. This is always a great event. It's always something. It's August the 5th. Mark that on your calendar as well, something you want to go see. There's some cruises coming up. There's a couple of cruises. One of them is the Song of the Mountains cruise. That's going to be March the 11th through the 16th. Now, David Browning will be on that, and the VW Boys. Hear that music? That's them. VW Boys' main man, I guess you would call him, is Tim White. He is the one that does the Song of the Mountain cruise, and they'll have all kinds of bluegrass folks there with the Mayberry deputy there. Along with him. And then, of course, coming up later in the year, I'm skipping around in the calendar, but coming up later in the year, you're going to have in October, we're going to have Margaret Carey, October the 24th through the 29th. So go ahead and get your reservations, guys, for the Cruise to Mayberry number 12. Margaret Carey, that's Bess Muggins and Helen Scobie. She played both roles. She'll be the special guest this time. It's going to be on the Carnival Ecstasy. Woo! Barely got that out. And be traveling to Freeport and Nassau in the Bahamas. Going to depart this year out of Charleston, South Carolina. So if you live in that area, it'll be a lot shorter drive for you to be able to go and ride with us. Definitely mark that down and start saving up. Get it paid for. You can go to allaboutcruisesnc.net. The link is in the event calendar. So go and check it out. So, folks, there's all kinds of things happening there on the Mayberry calendar. We already mentioned the Troy event. Folks, of course, the big event of every year for Mayberry fans all over that we all want to make sure we go to is September 20th through the 24th. It's the 28th annual Mayberry Days in Mount Airy, North Carolina. Mayberry stars that are already confirmed are Betty Lynn, Rodney Dillard. Of course, that's one of the Darling Boys. He's going to be there with his band. Ronnie Shell, he was in 2 episodes of the Andy Griffith Show, and of course he was Duke Slater on Gomer Pyle. Margaret Carey, she'll be there, and Karen Knotts. They're already confirmed, every one of them, that they're going to be there. They booked the VW Boys, again, great Mayberry fans there in the back, and Michael Hoover, he'll be there as well. All kinds of great stuff. James Gregory, the comedian, he'll be there. Neil Brower will be doing his Professor Brower stuff. I don't have to sell Mayberry Days to you, but go to mayberrydays.org for even more information. All right, so that's just some of the items from the event calendar in the eBullet. All right, so now we're going to get into I guess some of the things I always like to do these as just a capture of a moment in time. So if you're listening to these later, it's been a few years. I've been doing this podcast for 8 years, and I've kind of been doing these ever since. It's kind of neat when I hear old episodes where I talk about what was occurring at that time, a few years ago. So hopefully you enjoy that too. But this is the news of cast and crew. I need some echo effect there, don't I? Ron Howard is enjoying high praise from critics and fans for his and Imagine Entertainment's Mars docudrama on the National Geographic Channel. And the company's Genius series is also in production. It'll be a Nat Geo's first ever fully scripted drama. The first season starring Jeffrey Rush as Albert Einstein premieres in April. So be watching for that. There's also serious deal making in the works to bring 1982's Night Shift, which Ron directed, as Imagine's first feature film release, to Broadway. They're talking about bringing it to Broadway as a musical. Stay tuned for more about that. The wheels are back in motion to eventually get everything worked out to begin for season 5 of Arrested Development. So if you enjoyed Ron's involvement there in Arrested Development, they're trying to get that going again. The desire is there among all the parties, so everybody wants to do it, and the schedules are being checked for availability. Ron will continue to narrate the popular series that's now part of the Netflix family. So that's awesome. All right, so Betty Lynn, that's Thelma Lou. She was a little bit under the weather during the Christmas time here that just went, but she has been doing much better in the new year. She'll be back greeting fans on January 20th, as I just mentioned, at the Andy Griffith Museum, where there in Mount Airy, North Carolina, where she now lives, for her regular monthly sessions. Maggie Peterson, Charlene darling, my darling person. She also had a little hiccup in her health in December, but ever the trooper, she quickly recovered and made her way across country toward her Mayberry Christmas show in Johnson City, Tennessee. Well, that was the plan anyway. After numerous weather-delayed flights, she finally got on a flight to Charlotte. But then her connection from Charlotte to Johnson City was delayed several times before finally being canceled. So Maggie got back on the plane and flew back home. She couldn't get to the show. She had to laugh about the whole ordeal, but later. I don't think it was funny at the time. Nevertheless, the Christmas show went on with Rodney Dillard, the guitar-playing darling boy, and all the Dillards, and his band, it should say, and David, the Mayberry Deputy Browning, and they put the show on there in Johnson City. By all accounts, it was another wonderful performance of the holiday tradition. Still, Maggie was missed greatly. So, sorry, Maggie. Man, that was terrible. Your flight gets delayed. You can't get to your show. That's horrible. But, hey, what can you do? Jackie Joseph, sweet Romina, my Romina. She had cataract surgery earlier this month, and everything is now looking good. You get that you hear that play on words there, cataracts, and it's looking good. Hey, that's a good one. Yeah, that's Jim Clark. He's smart. That's good. Clint Howard, Leon. He has completed filming of Mad Families. It's a feature film that caused him to have to miss Mayberry Days at the last minute last fall. He plays the character named Gravy. It's called Mad Families. Have to check it out. Clint and his father, Rance Howard, who's also on the Andy Griffith Show, of course. Now, Clint was Leon. I think I said that. But Rance was on there as multiple roles. They have also finished working on something called Rick's Parking. Okay, Rick's Parking. Clint plays the lead. He plays the lead in that, and he's named Phil. Rance plays Raunch. Is his character's name. and it's about the annex of a valet parking service. The tagline is, "It's a strange lot." It sounds funny to me. Something tells us it may not be a film that we'll be seeing at the multiplex, but it does sound pretty funny. Maybe that'll be on Netflix. I hope. That sounds good. George Lindsay Jr., a.k.a. Goober's son. It's Goober's son. George Lindsay's son, George Jr. We call him Goober's son. Goober's son. Anyway. He hit some medical speed bumps in December, but he's on the mend this month. Karen Knotts, that's Don's daughter, of course, has been picking up this year where she left off last year with a string of performances of her popular one-woman Tied Up in Knots show. So she's going to be doing that. Early dates are in California before she's venturing out into the Midwest and beyond, including Mayberry Days in September. All right. So that's just some of the highlights of things going on in and around cast and crew news. All right. So, folks, the eBullet also has a lot of stories in it about remembering things. Now, if you'll remember, I did a podcast a few weeks ago about remembering Bernard Fox. It was episode number 406, Bernard Fox Remembered. Jim Clark in the eBullet, you definitely want to go and check this out. He wrote an amazing article about Bernard Fox, and it's Bernard Fox, May 11th, 1927, December 14th, 2016. It's an amazing write-up. I'm not going to read through it because we covered it. We did not cover everything that's in the eBullet. I want to encourage you to go and read that. But we've already discussed Bernard and what an amazing, wonderful man he was. There are photos. There's pictures of he and his wife. Actually, on their honeymoon, there's a picture of them smiling and laughing together, talking about his theater performances, being on Titanic. There is just many details here. There's a great picture of him in 2001 at the Opryland Hotel, where they did a Mayberry cast reunion with him riding a bicycle. It's a tricycle, a man-sized tricycle, big bike with 2 wheels on the back. And then there's all the other career stuff he had, like from Herbie and The Mummy, as we talked about in the previous episode. And then, of course, there's a great picture of him as Dr. Bombay. Folks, I want to encourage you to head over and read that. And I'm not going to try to run through it at this point in this show. But that was only one of the people we lost. But we want to celebrate the lives of these wonderful people. And Bernard Fox, the article and the pictures are amazing. Thank you, Jim Clark, for celebrating his life. Next up, I want to tell you about Jeffrey Hayden. Jeffrey Hayden also passed away. He was the director of 8 episodes of The Andy Griffith Show. He passed away from cancer in Los Angeles on December the 24th. He was 90 years old. With his film and directing work that was almost exclusively on TV, he directed only one movie outside of television back in 1957. Jeff was prolific in an active career that spanned more than 40 years. He directed the full cross-section of television, from comedies to dramas to variety shows and documentaries, from prime time to daytime. He did it all. His longest single stint as a director was for 39 episodes of Peyton Place. Yeah, Peyton Place, back in 1965 and 66. His next longest run was 28 episodes of The Donna Reed Show from 1960 to 1962. And then were his 8 episodes during the season 4 of The Andy Griffith Show, 1963 through 1964. He also did 8 episodes of Alias Smith and Jones. I don't know if you remember that, a Western, 1970 through 72. He liked having diverse assignments and avoiding creative ruts, so he enjoyed that. Now, Jeff's 8 episodes of The Andy Griffith Show are some of the favorites of the entire series. They are Black Day for Mayberry, Opie's Ill-Gotten Gain, Up in Barney's Room, Andy's Vacation, Andy Saves Gomer. That's a great one. Bargain Day, Divorce Mountain Style, Oh, that's a good one, too. And a deal's a deal. He shared some of his thoughts about working on the Andy Griffith Show in an interview he did for the Archive of American Television. There's a link in the eBullet to go and watch that interview. If you go to the 5th segment of the interview, that's where he starts talking about the Andy Griffith Show. He learned the importance. He learned a very important lesson in Opie's ill-gotten gain, one that has become a oft-noted part of the Andy Griffith Show lore. His lesson was to always shoot enough close-ups and 2 shots to cover all the possibilities of the editing room. When Barney becomes frustrated in that episode when he's reciting the preamble to the Constitution, so Opie's ill-gotten gain, you'll remember he's going, we the people, remember that. He becomes frustrated as he's reciting it. Many fans have noticed how Barney's hair is mysteriously messed up, and then it goes back to not being messed up, and then it goes back to being messed up, depending on the shot that is, whether it's a long shot or a close-up. So that was because Jeff assumed the editors would edit in a certain way, but they didn't. So the film editors didn't edit the way the director had thought that they would. This goof isn't something that just modern day viewers like us have noticed in reruns. It was noticed and brought to Jeff's attention by the powers that be at the time. Lesson learned. But none of that mattered. Jeff got 6 more directing roles for the Andy Griffith Show after that. And besides, he was married to Oscar-winning actress Eva Marie Saint. So any flaws with Barney's hair were easily kept in perspective. So there's all kinds of more information in here about him. And it's definitely something, Jeffrey Hayden, you want to go and check that out. So we have one more piece of bad news. If you guys have not already heard it, like I said, there's more write-up about that. But we lost another one, William Christopher. William Christopher, who appeared on 2 episodes of the Andy Griffith Show, he passed away of complications from small cell carcinoma at his home in Pasadena, California on December the 31st, 2016. He was 84 years old. Bill's roles on the Andy Griffith Show were IRS Agent Heathcote on Aunt B on TV in season 6, and most memorably for most of us, as the main guest actor in the role of Dr. Thomas Peterson in A New Doctor in Town in season 7. They were respectively his 5th and 8th film roles. So I didn't know that. That's awesome. His 3rd and 4th performances to air were as Lester Hummel on Gomer Pyle USMC. So he got a lot of roles from his relations with the Andy Griffith Show and Gomer Pyle. He would go on to appear in 14 more episodes of Gomer Pyle USMC. As visits from the IRS agents go, William Christopher would be about the best person one could possibly hope for. And it turned out that there were no worries about him as a doctor either. He was born in Evanston, Illinois on October the 20th, 1932, and he graduated with a B.A. in drama from Wesleyan University in 1954. His first acting job was with Barnstormers Theater in New Hampshire. He made his Broadway debut in early 1960s in the hit British comedy revue Beyond the Fringe. But the role that he was really born to play came in 1972 with his portrayal of the iconic Father Francis Mulcahy in 213 episodes of MASH, and later in 30 episodes of After MASH. He was great in those. Along the way, he also worked with director Howard Morris, Ernest T, of course, with 6 You Get Egg Rolls in 1968, starring Doris Day and Brian Keith, and also featuring fellow Andy Griffith Show and MASH alumni Jamie Farr, and a sleuth of familiar faces to Mayberry, including Jackie Joseph and Alan Melvin. And he worked with Don Knotts in The Shakiest Gun in the West, also in 1968, and with Andy Griffith in the fondly remembered feature film Hearts of the West in 1975. Friends, there's a lot more information in here about him. Great guy. Again, it's just we hate that we've lost so many of these wonderful, wonderful actors that we've had over the years. But it's so nice to be able to just celebrate their life a little bit. So let's move on here to a little bit of chapter updates. So, folks, we got 2 brand new chapters. That's right. We got 1,447 chapters of the Andy Griffith Show, Rio and Rogers Club. The latest 2 to join us are, believe this, nobody has used this name before, Old Aunt Mariah, Jump in the Fire. That's the name of the chapter. From Mamora, M-A-R-M-O-R-A, Mamora, New Jersey. Old Aunt Mariah, Jump in the Fire. That's awesome. And the other one that was created in this time frame it's called A Little Mayberry in the Mountains from Parsons, West Virginia. A hearty welcome to both of these new chapters. We'll give them all a big hand. Have I got some clapping hand sound effects? Yeah. Yay. So we're good to have them. Folks, the eBullet is also full of the Mayberry merchandise that you can find at Weaver's Department Store, including T-shirts, sweatshirts. A Miss Crump's winter reading list is listed in here. Great books from Mayberry, like Mayberry 101 and The Andy Griffith Show, along with, like I said, sweatshirts and all other kind of things. And finally, we're going to wrap up here with a little bit of chapter news from the Andy Griffith Show, Rerun Watchers Club. Lots of chapters had large and small gatherings during the holidays, including the Barney chapter of Greensboro, North Carolina, which is perhaps the longest running string of chapters Christmas celebrations anywhere that chapter has. A favorite activity at chapter Christmas parties is to exchange Mayberry related gifts. And they do it every year. The Barney chapter has been doing this for over 2 decades, and as a rule, that there can't be any repeats from the same item through the years. Wow, which makes it really hard to come up with things to give each other. Now, here's a group photo in the bullet. If you want to look it out, the eBullet, there's a group photo of the folks there in their different things. We got the Blood Brothers chapter from Macon, Missouri. Looks like. Is that right? Yeah. They posed. They had a party. They had a Christmas party. And then, of course, there's the members of the Mayberry chapter are also shown in here. So, folks, go and check that out. The Blood Brothers filed this report, by the way. They said, since we began 2 years ago, our chapter has tripled in membership. Several folks couldn't attend due to illnesses or other commitments, but we still had a great turnout. We began the afternoon with a Sunday lunch of Mrs. Foster's chicken a la king. Thank goodness it didn't taste like wallpaper paste. They had a short business meeting where they discussed upcoming Mayberry events, such as Mayberry Days and the cruise to Mayberry 12, and set a date for the summer barbecue. When's this other bar? He didn't tell us when it was, though. Yeah. Next, we enjoyed 12-song selection from the Andy Griffith Show, which included Low and Lonely, Salty Dog, and There's a Time. So that's just some of the stuff that they're going on there in at some of these chapter meetings. And not to ever be underrepresented in press coverage, the Mayberry chapter also supplied a photo to the eBullet about their participation in the Christmas parade in the nearby community of Carnes. So the Mayberry chapter in Knoxville, Tennessee, great stuff. And they have their giant 3 times a year, thrice annual, Mayberry Minutes newsletter. So if you want to get a paper version of a newsletter, the Mayberry Minutes is your choice now, because since the eBullet is only electronic. Folks, we got reports from Goober's Auto Dismantling from West Frankfort, Illinois, Foley's Market from Farmington, Missouri, and Remembering Mayberry in Chillicothe, Ohio. They were all at the rendezvous in Nashville and met up with some members of a local Andy chapter for a Morelli-style meal. Mavis Neff chapter from Durham, North Carolina, and Flibberty Gibbet from Albuquerque, New Mexico also included the Andy Griffith Show Realtors Club headquarters city in their holiday travels and meal plans. So they also got together. The Mayberry Main Streeters from Horsham, Pennsylvania, recently celebrated 30 years of being an active chapter of the Andy Griffith Show Realtors Club. Wow. Wow, suddenly some of us are starting to feel really old. We're no spring chickens anymore. Here's to the next 30 years. Wow, 30 years. Amazing. Congratulations. So, folks, there's always chapter news there. There's even more information in the eBullet. I'm not going to read any more of it. You need to go and read and check out the eBullet. So go and do that. So, folks, before we go, we have a great report from Mayberry this week in Mayberry History. I got to come up with a theme song for that. So this week in Mayberry History. So Randy, here's our roving reporter taking it away.
This is Randy Turner, and welcome to This Week in Mayberry History, a report from the Mayberry Historical Society. January the 10th was Maggie Peterson Mancuso's birthday. Maggie, of course, was the wonderful Charlene Darling, though she also appeared as Doris, a girlfriend of Sam Jones in the last filmed episode of our favorite show. Maggie attends various Mayberry events, including the premiere event Mayberry Days, always held the last full weekend of September in beautiful Mount Airy, North Carolina. If you've never been, what are you waiting for? If you are a true fan of the show, you owe it to yourself to go and meet Maggie in person. There are not many actors who have more than one extremely successful show in their careers. Many go on to do other work, but being in 2 hit shows is indeed rare. Ron Howard has, of course, become an incredibly successful director and producer. But after the Andy Griffith Show, and before that phase of his career, was Happy Days, which premiered 43 years ago this week on January the 15th, 1974, with Ron playing Richie Cunningham on the hit show. What many do not realize is that Happy Days had an unusual path to success. The 1971 pilot for the show was called New Family in Town, with the different actors playing Father Howard and siblings Joni and Chuck. The pilot was not picked up, and rather than trash it, director Gary Marshall retitled it Love and the Television Set, and it was used as a segment on the anthology show Love American Style in 1972. That would have been the end of it, but a young George Lucas was preparing to make American Graffiti and asked to see the failed pilot to evaluate Ron's performance. Ron was cast as one of the leads, and Graffiti was a huge success in 1973, helping fuel a nostalgia wave which prompted Gary Marshall to recast the pilot and turn the show into a series. With the success of Happy Days, the original failed pilot shown in syndication in Love American Style was retitled Love and the Happy Days. So it was Love American Style that gave us Happy Days, which in turn gave us 7 more series of spin-offs. Not the record, but an incredible number. And the show would never have been the success it was if not for the performance and likability of our Mayberry alumnus, Ron Howard. That's it for this week. Thanks for listening, and remember to take Andy's advice and go out there and act like somebody.
All right. Thank you, Randy. Folks, if you guys have not been a part of that, you need to head over to the website for the Goober and Gomer Pile, It's Gomer and Goober Pile, Comic Book Literary Guild. So you need to go there. The link will be in the show note to this podcast. Randy is posting a daily today in Mayberry History. So you need to go and check those out. Subscribe. If you're on Facebook, go over there and get involved. I've had some questions from people who are not on Facebook. They're wanting, why can't he post it somewhere else? I can't get on Facebook. Somebody wanted to put it on Twitter. I said, it's too big. Can't put it in Twitter. So folks, hope you're going to enjoy these segments that Randy's doing for them. Thank you very much, Randy, for doing this, and head over to the Gomer and Goober Pile Comic Book Literary Guild and sign up so that you won't miss any of them today in Mayberry History. So folks, I hope you guys have enjoyed this. It's been a long episode, but hopefully not too long. And I would love to hear from you guys. You can give me a call at 888-684-8415. Or you can just drop me a line at an email at floyd@imayberry.com. Or just drop by twochairsnowaiting.com and leave a comment. I'll see it. However you'd like to hear from me, talk to me. I'd love to hear from you. You already hear from me. I want to hear from you. So until next time, folks, I hope you have a great Mayberry week, and we'll see you here on Two Chairs No Waiting. Have a great one.